Good afternoon, Israel briefers from all around the world. Can you believe it is Thursday already, which means I don't get to see you wonderful people until Monday. Now, a little bit of housekeeping before we get into today's edition of the Israel Brief. I will be traveling to Canada on Tuesday, so there won't be an Israel Brief on Canada. And because I like to take you guys wherever I go, I will try my best to bring you the Israel Brief from wherever I am in Canada on a daily basis. If you are new to the Israel Brief, welcome to our growing community. In fact, we consider ourselves a family here. I'm Rolene Marks, and I bring you the top stories from Israel that are making headlines here, and of course, definitely not in your media, every Monday to Thursday. And I try and bring you the news without any bullshit, any filters, and sometimes a little bit of a rant. So a reminder that I am brought to you in conjunction with these guys, Lay of the Land, and a little bit more about where you can find us later. But just a reminder, it is day 699 since the events of the 7th of October, which saw Hamas and other terrorist organizations infiltrate communities in southern Israel, murdering over 1,200, mass raping, torturing and kidnapping over 250 people, of whom 48 still remain captive in absolute dire circumstances in Gaza. Tomorrow marks 700 days. I don't know how else we impress upon the world the absolute urgency of our hostages, that they need to be released immediately. We've seen the horrific condition that the living are still in, if they are still alive, and we want every single one of them home now. So with that said, let's take a look at the headlines before I get to your audience question, and of course, your menches and your morons. What's interesting today is the mensch of the week is pretty much unanimous by nearly everybody who sent in nominations. So we begin with news and the missile fired by the Iranian-backed Houthis landed in space just before it reached Israeli territory. Now the Houthis have escalated the amount of missiles. These are ballistic missiles, and in fact, last week they used cluster munitions. Cluster missiles or cluster bombs are banned in over 100 countries. Of course, we haven't heard anything from the international community, certainly nothing from the UN, but they have fired towards Israeli civilian centers. Yesterday, the IDF intercepted 2 ballistic missiles, one fired in the morning towards us in the center of the country. We could actually hear the booms where I am in the center of the country, and one to Jerusalem and surrounding areas last night. Now, according to a UN official on condition of anonymity, I think I said that correctly. It's been a long day, guys. The Houthis have arrested 11 UN workers and have accused them of spying for the United States and for Israel. Meanwhile, earlier today, Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, threatened the Houthi, saying, "The plague of the firstborn, the plague of darkness, we will complete all 10 plagues." I don't know how we intend to do that without divine intervention, but I'm sure there is some kind of military operation to back that up, and stay tuned for that. COGAT, which is the unit responsible, put my teeth back in, for the coordination of government activities in the territories. In other words, they are responsible for all the humanitarian aid that goes into Gaza, and etc., etc., published on their Arabic Facebook page. It's the Facebook page of their unit, footage of a former teacher in the Gaza Strip who has heavily criticized Hamas. He accused them of killing his son. He said his son was an aid worker working to distribute the humanitarian aid in Khan Yunis, and he was amongst those aid workers that were killed by Hamas. If you recall, the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation spoke of about 15 of their staff who were attacked, and several of them, I think it was about between 8 and 12, killed, and their bodies summarily just dumped at the entrance of Nasser Hospital. Well, he has accused them of killing him. Now, on the subject of the GHF, who have started to take in journalists to document their handing out humanitarian aid, they have handed out over 150 million meals to Gazans in need of food. And just a reminder that earlier this week, Kogat announced that they will be opening extra aid distribution points inside the Gaza Strip. And the aid that is distributed by the GHF, that is backed by both Israel and the United States. Yesterday, President Trump tweeted out on his Truth Social platform demanding that Hamas release all 20 hostages now and the war ends. He says not 7, not 5, not 10, all 20 now. Now, he was quickly, I won't say rebuked, but a statement quickly went out from the Hostages and Missing Families Forum saying, President Trump, remember upholding your promise of all 48 hostages. Just a reminder that we believe 20 of our hostages are still alive and 28 of them are deceased, and we want every single one without exception returned. Meanwhile, Hamas have signaled that they are ready to talk about terms. The defense minister says that these are empty words, and Prime Minister Netanyahu says it is the same spin. Meanwhile, American hostage negotiators have said that the American proposal ensures the release of all the hostages and an end to the war. I think right now, with regards to Hamas, we never know what to believe when it comes to them, but certainly we want our hostages back and we would love an end to this war. A Palestinian official speaking to the media says he believes that Hamas are changing their tune because of the military pressure Israel is putting on the Gaza Strip and the threats by Israel to take Gaza City. The Hostages Forum earlier today called on President Trump, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and all parties to come to the negotiating table. And to end, we've all been following the Goblin of Doom, yes, the climate goblin herself, Greta Thunberg, who has set sail again in the same dodgy hat with an even dodgier hairdo. Really, Greta, you might want to sail past a hairdresser. Anywho, I digress. Her flotilla has finally set sail from Spain. And what I found very interesting is that some Spanish guy followed them through Spanish waters, playing at full blast various Israeli or Hebrew songs, including Harbu Darbu and Havana Gila. I mean, you got to love. 1,000,000 points to that guy for originality, and somebody buy him a bells. But the crew have reported that about 90 nautical miles off the Isle of Menorca, they spotted their first drones and allege that there are drones above every single one of the vessels surveilling them on their way. Now, we don't have any idea who the drones belong to, but just a reminder that the Israel Law Center, Shurat Hadin, has actually filed complaints with the British, Swedish and maritime authorities, international maritime authorities, calling for legal action against Greta and her crew for dumping all their laptops and their devices into Israeli waters. So guys, those are your top stories. Let's take a look at the audience question of the day. And it comes from Anonymous, who says, why has Israel not made the evidence of the 7th of October public? Okay, so you can see the evidence. It is on websites, on a variety of websites, including still photos. I think what you're referring to is that 47-minute video of collated CCTV footage, dash cam footage, body cam footage, etc. Last week, the incredibly brave Sabine Tassa gave permission for the unbelievably horrible death of her husband and what happened to her children to be made public. That has got some but very little media coverage. That is now public, but the reason the 47 minutes is not being made public is not all the families would agree to it. They don't want their loved ones being seen in their last moments. I have seen a good swathe of it, and you can't unsee what's contained in this footage. You cannot unsee it. It is your worst horror movies come to life. And also out of respect for the dead. There are many people who believe it should be released. The world should be shocked into seeing what happened on the 7th of October. And of course, we know that there are always going to be those who deny it and who say it's manufactured. And believe me, it's not manufactured. I have been to those kibbutzim. I have smelt. I have seen with my own eyes. I have held the evidence, and I have seen a fair swathe of that footage. It's very, very, very traumatic. So I hope that answers your question. To anyone who wants to know how I cope with my mental health, I've learned to set up very, very firm boundaries and to detox by watching the things that make me laugh. And finally, let's get to your menches and your morons. So first we will begin with the morons so that we can end on a high note. And this week's morons are Greta Thunberg and her merry band of flotilla idiots making their way to Israel. I don't know what they are expecting to do. Personally, I think let them into Gaza, let Hamas deal with them, even though I think Hamas have said, you know what, even we draw the line there. And Chris Martin of Coldplay. Well, Chris, thank God at your concert you said to two sweet and utterly humiliated Israeli girls that you're going to treat them equally and as humans. I know every morning when I wake up I think, am I human enough to make Chris Martin proud? Thank you for bestowing the great blessing that we are humans on all the Jews and all the Israelis, as if we haven't had to deal with dehumanization enough throughout our history. Here you come. Thank you, you condescending person. And finally, let's end on a high note with the mensch of the day, and I love this guy. His name is Yoel Levy. He is on social media as the Jewish fitness guy. If you aren't following him on Facebook, on Instagram, go immediately this minute. He runs marathons dressed as Batman, and he does this because it was little Ariel Bibas's favorite superhero. Yoel has run the London Marathon. He just ran the Sydney Marathon, and he met with Yarden Bibas, the former hostage of Kfir and Ariel, and of course the husband of the beautiful Shiri. And the family are so moved, and he is so moved and blessed to be able to do this in honor and memory of little Ariel. And Yoel, you run for Ariel, you also run for Shalva. Shalva is an incredible organization here in Israel for those who are physically and mentally, who have issues, who need a little bit of help. They are really a phenomenal organization for special needs people. And Yoel, you do your sister proud, you do your mother proud, you do every single one of us proud, and you are our mensch of the week. So guys, that's it from me for this week. Please don't forget to join me again on Monday. But in the meantime, don't forget to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online. We're on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks, on Substack at Rolene Marks, on YouTube at Rolene. No, we're here at the Israel Brief. So if you like our content, please hit that subscribe button. We are on Facebook at Lottle's site, on who am I leaving out? Substack at Rolene Marks, and on X at Lay of the Land 5. Guys, been a long week, been a hectic day. I love you all. Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again on Monday. Bye for now.